feel about reparations for victims of the Holocaust?
But there can be no reparation whatsoever, as you will know. I mean, how can somebody pay you in whatever monetary or other things for the murder of your parents, your entire family, for taking your childhood for all the years in the camps? I mean, there is no such thing. The only reparation I feel is in trying to help those who are still afflicted and those whom we can help now, because no reparation can be made to the people, to my entire family, to all my friends who were with me. I mentioned that we were 2,000 girls in our camp, and less than 100, and rather fewer than 120 survived. How can you ever do good for them? The only thing you can do is live your life. I always feel that what I really could tell you, if you could somehow take another life, an unknown life to you, someone of a girl or a boy who is your age and who has perished there, and live your own life joyfully for yourself and for the other person to fulfill their dreams. And I think this is the only reparation we can make.
Thank you very much, Auburn, for your question. We actually have two sites connected from Fordham University, so I'd like to start with the New York campus and the Graduate School of Social Sciences.
Hello, yes, this is Bill Madden from the Graduate School of Social Service, actually, at Fordham University in New York City. We have a few questions here, but one I think I'll rephrase it slightly, but given your experience, Mrs. Klein, do you have residual anger or rage, and how do you deal with that, or how do you handle that?
It's not always easy, but I have found that it is a very destructive force. My anger or my hatred is not going to bring anybody back, but I believe that, and certainly I have not forgiven those who have done those horrible things, but what I can do is try to influence other people to do the right thing. And I think that this is what my family who perished and what my friends would want me to do. You know, really, anger and hatred is something that doesn't help you. And I would suggest to all young people who are listening tonight, that when you go home tonight, if you have been mad at your parents, kids often are and feel this and that, just go home and tell them you love them. They know it, but it's good to know it. Turn to someone with whom you've had an argument and say, you know, it is so stupid to continue with that. If you have friendship, and I don't mean, you know, I'm not a Pollyanna. I ask my kids and they will tell you. But I believe that we can turn some of the bad things into good things. That we can sit down with somebody and say, let's work it out together. I think anybody who feels that only they are right are wrong to begin with. There are so many rights and so many wrongs, and try to understand other people. I have been working very much with autism and mental retardation. And I look at the people and I always say, you know, in a way, it's my story. I remember when I came to the United States, maybe 2 or 3 days later, I heard a boy say to his mother, this lady is so stupid, she doesn't even speak English. No, I didn't speak English. I understood what he said. But I thought, you know, if I could only reply to you in my own language, I speak a couple of languages, I'm not as stupid as you think you are. Let's just, and this is why I feel that I have much in common with people, particularly now with autism, who are, you know, sort of locked into themselves and cannot give of themselves their thoughts and their understanding and their things. And people condemn them. They say, oh, they're so stupid. They're not. Maybe they hear music. Our ears are not fine to hear when they go in a little dance. And people say, look how crazy they are. Maybe they see colors that our eyes are not good enough to see. I once read that a butterfly has in one eye 20,000 eyes. And I'm just wondering, what do you see with 20,000 eyes, and you are a tiny butterfly whose lifespan is so short? You know, you're a caterpillar, and then your head hangs down, and then you have that moment in the sun for such a brief time. And yet to have 20,000 eyes to see with, what do you see? So I think we sometimes have to put ourselves in somebody else's body, so to speak. And I think we can learn to be much more satisfied, happy. You know, I don't mean, be forever happy and so on. I'm not. But I think one should think yourself in the life of another person.
Thank you very much, Manhattan campus of Fordham University, Graduate School of Social Service. Now I'm going to go to the Tarrytown campus.
Ms. Klein, first of all, thank you for speaking with us tonight. It has been wonderful. One of the questions is, when you had nothing during the Holocaust, what kept you from giving up?
I think I heard that, and I believe I gave a partial answer to that. You know, in a way, when you have nothing, you hang on to your life. The only thing you have left is life. And perhaps this is, and I'm particularly grateful for your question, because you see, I remember the last camp I was in before we started on the transport of 2000. Our last camp was about 800, 900 girls. And we were in a place, we were still in the working things, but it was surrounded by barbed wire, which was electrically charged. And we were always hungry. And yet, I don't know of one person who went up to the wire to finish their life. Nobody did that. The only thing we had is our lives and our hopes. And I feel very strongly about it. That is not to make a final decision to a temporary problem. And I think this is what prevailed there. You had hope and you always went on, maybe, perhaps. Unfortunately, for most of it, it wasn't. But for me, it was a privilege. And I also had skiing boots. In the last moment before leaving home, before my father was taken away, my father asked me, we were all avid skiers, but we didn't have skiing boots like you kids have. I mean, we had sturdy boots, and we made homemade skis, and we took an iron and a candle and waxed our skis, but we had a great time. My father asked me where my boots were, and I said, why? And my father said, I want you to wear them, and that was in June. And I said, Papa, skiing shoes in June? And my father said, I want you to wear them. And you didn't argue with your father. And I wore those boots for the 3 years, every day, in summer, in winter, what have you. But on the death march, those boots were really instrumental in saving my life. Girls had sandals, and I saw girls breaking off their toes like twigs. I had my skiing boots. And I think the combination of that and the promise given to my brother and to my parents and the very will to live kept you going. You can go tonight, you can go to a hospital and you will see women, and I'm not so young, I'm 83, but you will see people who are 95 years old, they still want to live. And this is something that's given to us the magic of life itself, of wanting to live.
Thank you, Fordham. Our next question will come from Inver Hills Community College.
Hello, and thank you very much, Gerda. I'm Vicki from Minnesota, and I have a student here who wants to ask a question. I'll let her pose her own question.
Go ahead.
Good evening. What do you feel would be the biggest piece of advice you could give us today in regards to what we can do as students to stop genocides around the world and today and in the future?
I believe the only advice that I can give you is appreciation of your whole life, above all of your own freedom, of the understanding of what you are able to do. But first of all, appreciate what you have. I remember a little while later when I woke up in the hospital after being, liberated, I remember waking up and saying to myself, I will never know unconditional love again. I knew at that point that my parents did not survive. I was nobody's daughter. I was nobody's sister, nobody's niece. I knew that every love I'll ever get, I'll have to work hard for it. It so happens that I was most fortunate. My husband